HelloFresh takes the guesswork and the extra hassle out of planning and preparing delicious meals for dinner. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh gives you over 40 recipes to choose from each week. And then your farm-fresh, pre-portioned seasonal ingredients arrive at your doorstep with simple instructions to help you feel like the master chef of your kitchen. And did you know that HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout? HelloFresh has been an awesome addition to our household's dinner routine. We all get involved and cook together, following the pictured step-by-step instructions. It's a fun quality time, and the meals are delicious. Give it a try and see for yourself. Go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, to get 50% off plus free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Having It All is sponsored by Health IQ, an insurance company that helps health-conscious people like yoga lovers, runners, and vegetarians get lower rates on their life insurance. Go to healthiq.com/ALL to support the show and see if you qualify. Welcome to the Having It All podcast, the show about what it takes to live an abundant, loving life. My name is Matthew Bivens, and each week I'm helping you get out of your head so that you can truly have it all. Let's do it. What's going on, everybody? Matthew Bivens here, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I'm feeling great today. I'm feeling fantastic, and I truly hope that you are as well. And hopefully by the end of today's episode, you'll be feeling a little bit more invigorated, maybe just a little bit more empowered to continue being awesome. Yeah, just being your awesome self. And, one of the things that I do in my daily life and with the group of people I choose to live life with here in Atlanta is I share this thing called magic. And magic is when you inspire yourself, other people, or life to do something empowering, to take some sort of bold action. And, it's one of the things that I talk about with the other groups I'm a part of, and I share on the Your Day Balance Game app that I use every day. And so I thought, hey, it'd be cool to kick off this episode, at least, maybe future ones, with sharing some magic. And, what the cool thing about magic is that you can be inspired by, the bold actions that I'm taking and vice versa. And magic is sort of like gratitude in that, with gratitude, the more that we practice gratitude, the more that we recognize things in our lives that we're grateful for, the more we realize that we truly are abundant and we truly have everything we need. And magic is the same way. The more we recognize magic, the more that we appreciate and shine light on magic, the more we realize that, wow, we really can influence ourselves, other people, and life in a powerful way, and that we're doing it all the time. So my recent magic has to do with sharing. It has to do with honesty and transparency. And that's a big thing that I've repped on this show in the past few episodes. So going back to March and kind of bleeding into April, transparency was a big theme of what I talked about. And that's because it was huge in my life at the time. And it still is. And so the magic for me was sharing via the podcast some really awesome things about myself and my life, and then receiving feedback from a very, very close friend of mine. And she sent me this text message, and she said, hey, I happened to listen to your Abundant Love episode. And she kind of had a ... afterwards. And I'm thinking to myself, oh man, what is she going to follow up with? Is she going to, give me some criticism of me sharing and being open? Is she going to tell me off? Is she going to, my mind obviously went down the dark path. But what was really beautiful about it is that, me sharing and me opening up, it inspired her to do the same. And, she shared things with me, and, she said, wow, I really didn't know that this was a challenge for you and that you had been withholding for so long. So the magic really was me putting myself out there and having somebody who I consider one of my closest and best friends, share things with me that she had been probably keeping in herself. And, that goes in alignment with what I've been talking about on the podcast for the past, like I said, couple of months. And what I'm going to get into today, answering another listener email. And it's just this idea of recognizing and acknowledging who we are. Acknowledging who we are as individuals and truly accepting ourselves. Accepting those feelings that we have, accepting the way that we view the world, accepting how we choose to live our lives, accepting the activities we choose and the choices we make, accepting all of it, and releasing this need to please other people or to show up in a way that fits within another person's worldview, or to show up in a way that makes somebody else comfortable. And it's a constant experience for me. It's a constant journey. And as I'm, now walking down this path of being more authentic, being more honest, being more transparent, I'm really seeing the magic flood into my life. And as I just shared, it's impacting not only me, but it's impacting those people around me. And so I'm sharing that with you because there's someone out there right now who just needed that reminder and needed to hear that message. And let's flow from that into today's conversation, which is a listener email. I receive emails from you all pretty frequently, and a lot of the times you're asking questions. And so what I'm going to start doing is answering your questions on the podcast. And so if you are out there right now and you've got something pressing, on your heart that you would just love to get feedback on, you want to get some perspective on, you want to share, you have a question, you want to ask something, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would absolutely love to hear from you, and I would love to bring your question onto the show, because I guarantee that if you have it, there are hundreds of other people out there who are going through the very same thing right now and have the very same question. So by you being bold and acting out of courage to share with me and reach out to me, it's going to impact and it's going to influence and inspire a lot of people. So if that's you, if you've got something to share, reach out. mattcbivens@gmail.com. That's my personal email address, and we can get you in an episode. And before we jump into today's episode, I wanted to give a little bit of love to my sponsor, the current sponsor of the podcast, which is Health IQ. So right now it is April and tax season is coming up, and that always makes me think of the grown-up things that we just got to take care of in life. And I'll be honest, one of those things that that is important to take care of, but I had been neglecting, is life insurance. And for me and Sarah, my wife, it's particularly important because we have a daughter, baby Maya. And, that whole process of looking for life insurance and comparing plans and all of that, we began that process a number of months ago, and honestly, haven't really loved it. We haven't found the policy out there that really resonates with us and the company who shares similar values. And then enter Health IQ. Once I learned about Health IQ and what they were all about and how they truly serve their customers, I was totally in. I was totally bought in. And what's really cool about Health IQ is that they reward you for living a healthy lifestyle. And the reason being, health-conscious people tend to have a lower risk of heart disease, cancer, and diabetes. And so 56% of Health IQ customers save anywhere between 4 and 33% on their life insurance. And so for Sarah and I, saving money is big, and every week we're looking at our budget. So the fact that we can save a bunch of money on our life insurance through Health IQ, and they're health conscious, that aligns with us. That has been amazing. HelloFresh takes the guesswork and the extra hassle out of planning and preparing delicious meals for dinner. America's #1 meal kit, HelloFresh gives you over 40 recipes to choose from each week. And then your farm-fresh, pre-portioned seasonal ingredients arrive at your doorstep with simple instructions to help you feel like the master chef of your kitchen. And did you know that HelloFresh is cheaper than grocery shopping and 25% less expensive than takeout? HelloFresh has been an awesome addition to our household's dinner routine. We all get involved and cook together, following the pictured step-by-step instructions. It's a fun quality time, and the meals are delicious. Give it a try and see for yourself. Go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall for 50% off plus free shipping. Again, to get 50% off plus free shipping, go to HelloFresh.com/50havingitall and use code 50havingitall.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So if you're a runner, a yogi, a vegetarian, a vegan, or just a person who loves to lead a healthy, holistic, well-rounded lifestyle, then I highly recommend you check out Health IQ to see whether or not they can save you some money. Learn more and get a free quote at healthiq.com/all. That is healthiq.com/all. So for today's episode, I received this really awesome email from Kim. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through Kim's email. And then there were, maybe 6 or 7 statements that I've pulled out of Kim's email that I'm going to address because it's very relevant to the question that she's asking. And then I'm going to close by giving her some clear next steps that if I were in her shoes, these are the things that I would do. So let's go ahead and dive into Kim's email. Kim writes, "Hi, my name is Kim, and I am in my mid-20s, and I've been listening to your podcast now for only a week, but I love everything that I've listened to. One that especially resonated with me was how to know you're on the right path. I also love the one about choosing a word to live by this year. So I chose yours to see where it may take me mentally. So far, so good." So I think Kim is referencing the episode I chose, or the word that I chose for last year, which was beast mode. And this year, my word is faith, faith being trust plus surrender. So back to the email. Anyways, so I've just started my final semester in medical school, and a tremendous amount of anxiety creeped up during the first week, but I'm finally learning ways to cope with it and becoming more confident with myself. That being said, and she has this in parentheses, and ironically, before I listened to your podcast about choosing a word, I subconsciously wanted to live more confidently. So I loved your way of approaching confidence with beast mode. I wanted some perspective from you. I am really trying to dig deeper into what my soul is longing for. And now we get into the meat of the email. I'm currently in a relationship with a boyfriend now for close to 3 years. He is in grad school. He just started in August 2017 and has until 2020. He's building his own life and friendships and somehow makes time to visit me 3 hours away. We've had our ups and downs like most relationships do. We try to approach things in a quote-unquote healthy way, and I tend to be similar to how your wife thinks that something bad is bound to happen. I think she's talking about an episode I had my wife on where she talked about this paradigm that she picked up from her family that, you know, the other shoe's about to drop or something bad has always got to happen. When things are going smoothly, it just means that bad times are on the horizon. That's how my wife used to think. So Kim goes on to say, I graduate in May and I have decided and have to decide where it is I want to look for jobs, close to home or close to my boyfriend. My boyfriend is very serious, focused, and committed to success and making money. Not that I'm not, but I'm silly, outgoing, and I'm striving to live a life that is fulfilling for me. Yes, I want to be successful, but I want other things that make my soul dance. I have this urge to do everything I can after I graduate, despite the fears that come with it. I want to discover things that make me feel excited and alive. I can't help but seek something or even someone different because I already have an idea of where I'll be if I start my life with my boyfriend. I don't want to wait around for him to graduate for life to happen. I hope I'm making sense. Sometimes our relationship can feel forced and it drives me nuts. I've also been back and forth with our relationship since we've started dating. Sometimes I feel completely head over heels and other times I question it. I hope I'm making sense. Just looking for some guidance, advice, or a new perspective from you if possible. Feel free to dig if you want. I try to be an open book. Regards, Kim. So first and foremost, Kim, thank you so much for reaching out and for asking such an awesome question and just asking for a perspective on what you're going through. I can imagine that just talking about it and putting it out there in an email like you did is not easy because you're breathing life into something that, I think if I were you, I may want to continue to kind of keep hidden, keep in the background because, confronting your relationship and really seeing your relationship for what it is today and where it could go and having the possibility of that not looking so great is not a fun thing to do. So I just applaud you, Kim, for being bold and taking action in that way. And so here's my feedback. The first time I read your email, because I've read through it a few times, the first time I read it, what I got from it right off the bat immediately was that it sounds like you already know what's best for you. It sounds like you already know what would, as you put it, make your soul dance, and what action is really in alignment with what you want out of life. And it sounds like what you're doing is you're looking for validation on those feelings. So that's my first thing. I want you to reflect on that. Do you already know what choice is best for you in this scenario? Because I get hints from what you wrote that your intuition has been speaking, your intuition has been signaling you, and for whatever reason, I can imagine there's a number of them, you've either been ignoring it or you haven't fully trusted it. And so that's my first thing to you. And now here are a few statements that I pulled out of your email that really stand out to me. The first is in the very beginning, and you wrote, I subconsciously want to live more confidently. To me, I hear a lot in that statement. Again, I sense that your intuition is really speaking to you and that what you want is the confidence to listen and the confidence to take action on what your influence is saying. I'm sensing that you want to be able to take that action and do whatever it is that in your heart you feel you need to do, and then really be at peace with that decision. And so what I'm intuiting is that, it's a relationship and there's a lot of emotional ties and, at times it can be attachment. You might be attached to your boyfriend in a deep way. And so if your intuition, if your heart is pulling you in one direction, but your attachment is taking you in another direction, it's hard to reconcile that. It's hard to deal with that. And so that's what I hear in your email. The next statement that stood out to me was where you wrote, somehow makes time to visit me. I thought that was really interesting, and you qualified that statement by saying that you're 3 hours away. But my first thought was, are you not worth driving 3 hours for? And that makes me think that there might be some self-worth things going on with you. Because if this is your boyfriend, there's some sort of agreement that you guys jump into when you agree to be boyfriend and girlfriend. And he knew that it was 3 hours away. You knew that it was 3 hours away. So it sounds like you're feeling guilty that there's distance between you. And it sounds like you might be feeling guilty that would drive over to see you. And so I'm wondering, where does that guilt come from? And for me, it it touches within me some feelings that I've had in my past that were connected to self-worth. That I wasn't worthy enough of having this person, do this sort of action to me, or, don't do that for me because I'm not worth it. That sort of thing was triggered within me when I read that statement. And so you're absolutely worth it. I don't even need to know you very well to know that you're worth a 3-hour drive. You're worth your boyfriend making a 3-hour drive to come and see you. And so the way that you wrote that sentence in your email said a lot. Somehow makes time to visit me. And, maybe it's because he's got a busy schedule that you wrote that, or he's got a lot going on, because you talked about how he's forming new friendships and, he's in grad school. So, I've been in grad school. I understand that there's a lot that comes with it. But when you make that agreement with somebody to be in a committed relationship with them, to be, to shack up with them, there's things that come along with it. And I just feel like somehow he makes time to visit me. There's some stuff in there that you might want to investigate. It might be all tied together. You talked about wanting to live more confidently, and then there's what I'm sensing is a self-esteem, self-worth thing. So I imagine that all of that is tied together. You also wrote that you tend to think similarly to how my wife thought, that something is bound to happen. And what I pull from that is that, for me, when I was talking to my wife about this, and when we talked about it in the past, we recognize that as a form of thinking, of thought, of belief that has some pretty heavy consequences to it, because what you focus on expands. Those things that you really pay attention to and put a lot of mental energy into, they get bigger. So if you're focusing on the quote unquote bad things that are going to happen, if you have a belief that something bad is going to happen in your world, guess what? Something is going to happen. Something crappy is going to happen, or you're going to be so fixated on that thought that it's inevitable that something bad is going to happen. You'll be so fixated on that you're going to start spotting all of the little, big or little, things that happen in your life that align with that thought. So holding that thought will do one of two things. You'll either start to spot all of the bad things in your life, or you're going to start flicking down the dominoes to create bad things in your life. So that right there is it's something to be aware of. It's something to be aware of, because I think when you have awareness around that style of thinking, around those beliefs, then you can start to gain some perspective on them. And it's when you gain that perspective and you say, oh, wow, okay, wait a minute. Am I looking at things as, the glass is half empty? Am I viewing certain scenarios, certain people, certain situations with a pessimistic lens? Because once you can sort of look and say objectively whether or not you're doing that, then you can start shifting and say, okay, that's not who I want to be. That's not how I want to experience my life. So let me figure out what I need to do to shift that, so that I'm not always thinking about what is this bad thing that's about to happen. And instead, you're looking for the beauty. You're looking for the alignment in life. You're looking for those magical moments, right? Those magical moments that I started the beginning of this episode talking about. So that's a beautiful way right there to counter that thought of, ooh, something bad's about to happen. Instead, if you recognize the magic that you have in your life, that you're creating in your life, and you show gratitude for all those things and those people that you have. By focusing on those things, you will crowd out any sort of feelings about something bad that's about to happen.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper? A woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver. I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
So, moving on, another statement that stood out to me was when you said, I want other things that make my soul dance. And you also mentioned that you're striving to live a life that is fulfilling for you. That's huge. Because what I'm getting from that is that success for you isn't about stuff. It's not about titles. It's not about the size of your salary. It's not about, whether or not people come up to you and pat you on the back for a job well done in grad school. That success for you is something deeper. And I can get with that. That totally speaks to me, because I've mentioned on this show a bunch of times about my views on success, and that there's two types of success: success with a big S and success with a little s. Success with a little s is all the stuff I just mentioned. It's the titles, it's the money, it's the cars, it's the, ability to go on exotic vacations all the time. It's all the American dream stuff. While success with a big S is who you are becoming in the process of creating all of that. Can you fully accept yourself, and are you fully in love with yourself and who you are being day to day? Because that is way more important than all the stuff. And so you and I click and connect on that. So, saying that, if I were to put myself in your shoes and put myself in a scenario where I might be making a choice to go in a direction where I'm pursuing the small s success, then for me, if that was me, I would always be feeling a sense of unfulfillment. There would always be something within me that felt empty, that felt unfulfilled, that felt frustrated, that felt blocked, because in my heart, I knew that there was something else, right? You say you want things that make your soul dance. Money's not going to make your soul dance. Your soul doesn't care about money. It's not connected to that. It's not connected to any of the possessions, the material things, right? It's looking for that alignment with who you are. And so for me, again, putting myself in your shoes, if you were aligning and moving in a direction where you were going towards that small s success and you were totally not being who your heart was pulling and compelling you to be, or if you were shacking up with a person who is heading in that direction, then I can imagine feeling the tug, feeling the pull, feeling the conflict, and especially if you ended up walking down that path towards material things, towards money, towards titles, towards the, American version of success. And if you did it for somebody else, then what's going to happen is resentment. At some point, you will start resenting that person because you will feel victim to that person. You will come to the space of, well, I did this for you. I did this because this is what you wanted. I did this because this is what you said needed to happen. And that always comes around full circle. It always does. There's really no way to avoid that, particularly for people like us who feel very strongly and who are pulled by our souls, by our hearts. So that's something that really spoke out to me. And I have 3 more that I pulled out because you had a great email. The next thing you said was when you wrote, I can't help but seek something or even someone different because I already have an idea of where I'll be if I start my life with my boyfriend. And so again, what that just reminds me is that you already know what it is. You already know what it is that you need to do to stay in alignment with yourself. But you're just looking for that strength to take the massive action. And, I get it. I totally get that. I know what it feels like to get that sense of clarity internally, to get that sense of like, oh man, okay, this is what I need to do. But then to be paralyzed and to not take that action. And you can be paralyzed by a lot of things. For me, I've been paralyzed by fear mostly, just totally scared out of my mind, to talk to my parents, scared out of my mind to, share things with my wife, scared out of my mind to quit my job. And that fear paralyzes me. But I'm sharing with you that I get the sense and I already know that you have that strength within you because you're talking about this. Because you're shining a light on it. You're shining a light on the area where you're feeling stuck. You're shining a light on that fear. And when you do that, that fear diminishes. And so when I give you my ultimate feedback as well, I think going through that process will help you to really have that sense of peace with whatever action it is that you want to take. So the next thing you said that stuck out to me was when you wrote, sometimes our relationship can feel forced and it drives me nuts. Well, Kim, it feels that way because it is. There's totally an element of force in your relationship. And you've said that a few times in your email. You said that he wants to go down a certain path in his life and that you're feeling pulled to go down a totally different path. And that's totally fine. That's okay. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. And it's okay for you guys to make that choice to do every single thing in your power to make it work. That's totally okay as well. And one of the consequences of that, and by consequence, I'm just meaning result. I'm not meaning anything that's good or bad, just simply a result. One of the results of doing everything you can to make the relationship work, even when you're going down path A and he's going down path F, one of the results is that it might feel forced. And it might feel forced because you all are being motivated, you're being driven by different things. You're valuing different things. And right now you're wanting different things out of your life. And that's okay too. So I get you that it feels forced. And I can only imagine how crazy it must be. You said it's driving you nuts. I can only imagine that because you've got these different forces at play, these different realities, honestly. You're wanting to go here, you're wanting to do this, you're wanting to experience that, and he's wanting to go over there and experience these things with his life. And, again, just doing everything you can to make it work. Sometimes it does, and sometimes it feels forced. And so that is what it is. And ultimately, all of that is okay. And it's not going to help you at all to pass any judgment on what you guys are trying to do with your relationship, on how you feel about things. So do your best to just look at it objectively and just to say, you know what, it's okay. And ultimately, you do have choice. And so this flows into the final statement from your email that really spoke to me. And that's when you said, I've also been back and forth with our relationship since we've started dating. Sometimes I feel completely head over heels, and sometimes I question it. Again, I've said this for maybe 2 or 3 times. You've known for a while that you guys just aren't moving in the same direction. And once again, that's all right. And it's really, really important for me to stress that. It's okay. Coming to that realization about your relationship doesn't mean that either of you are bad people. It's one of those things that just happens in life. We can have these discoveries about ourselves, particularly if we begin asking ourselves deep, piercing questions about what we want out of life, about who we are inspired to spend our time with, and about how we want to spend our time and energy in our lives. Because so many people are terrified, Kim. So many people are so terrified of asking themselves those types of questions because somewhere within them, they know that when they answer those questions, it's going to reveal that the person that they've shacked up with is not the best person for them. And so instead of doing that, instead of asking those questions, instead of having the courage that you're displaying, what we do is we just ignore the signs. We make excuses. We rationalize. We justify. And we continue living our lives in a very suppressed state. And we do this all the while just pretending that things are okay on the surface, while on the inside, we're just completely going through hell. So I think a lot of the stuff that you have been experiencing in your relationship and some of the realizations that you've had are because of the thinking and the digging and the self-evaluating you've been doing. And when you do that, you're bound to dredge up a few things. And so that encapsulates how I have felt upon reading your email and putting myself in your shoes. And now what I want to do is just to give you some advice. If I were in your shoes again and I was presented with that scenario, what would I do? And if I were you, Kim, the first thing I would do, and the only thing I would do, is to get clear on what you want out of your life. Get crystal clear. So I want you to ask yourself, what do you want out of your life right now? What are the big things or the big feelings or the big ideas that you're playing for? Those things that you're going after. For me, that looks like putting all of those things down and encapsulating them in a personal mission statement. For you, it might look like something different. But the idea is, what do you want out of your life right now? I also want you to ask yourself, what are the things that you value? Get clear on your values and write down and get clear on what your values mean to you. Because the way that you define family, for example, may be very different from the way that I define family. Yet both of us are correct. So I want you to get clear on your values, and I want you to define what those values are, what they mean to you. Write a definition for each of those values. And then I want you to prioritize those values, because when you start getting clear on your values, what ultimately happens is you'll be placed in a scenario where you have to choose, right? So 2 of my values are family and integrity. And so if it came down to a choice between family and integrity, then you have to say, wow, what would I do? What would I choose? So for you, get clear on those values. What do they mean to you? And put them in some sort of priority. And then I also want you to ask yourself, what values and what qualities do you want to have in a partner at this point in your life? What types of habits do you want your partner to have, or do you want them to be creating? Maybe you want somebody who's also exploring themselves and asking those deeper questions. Or maybe you just want somebody who's open to talking about those things, and get clear on what your non-negotiables are, the things that you're not going to waver on. So for example, if it's really important to you to have kids one day, or maybe you have kids, maybe you want more kids, maybe you want to have a big family, that's very, very important to you, that's a non-negotiable. Well, then you may not want to be with somebody who absolutely doesn't want kids. So all of these things, figuring out what you want out of your life, getting clear on your values, creating that vision for the person that you want in your life, all of that helps you to gain clarity. And once you do the work to get that clarity and to be clear, then your ultimate decision does not need to be an emotional one. It can really be, okay, let me look at what I've written down, what I've gotten clear on, and then let me look at the person I'm with. And you can just ask yourself, does the person I'm with, does my boyfriend align with my vision for what I want out of my life right now? Yes or no? And if they do align, great. Go forth. Go and create something awesome together. Go and do your thing. It's beautiful. And if they don't align, well, then you just have a choice to make. Just because someone doesn't align doesn't mean you have to let them go right then. That's fine. Just like earlier in when I was going through your email, if you're going down one path, and you define success in one way and he's going down another path and defines success his way, it doesn't necessarily mean that you guys can't make things work and do things together. So you can certainly create a life with somebody who doesn't align with your vision and your standards. However, and you're just going to experience the consequences of that. Remember, the consequence is just a result. You're going to experience the result of that choice. And I think one of the results is that it might feel forced. I think one of the results is what you're currently going through. But the beautiful thing is that it's all up to you. It's always up to you, Kim. And that really is a magical thing to realize. That you have choice, that you can choose whatever sort of situation you want. You can choose to align, you can choose to not align, you can choose to listen to my feedback and my advice, you can choose to not. It's all cool. It really is. And, if I could give you any sort of final statement around everything that I've outlined here, it's that you really are a co-creator in your life, in what you create in your life and the way that you experience it. And so you've created something right now with your boyfriend, and you've created a scenario which hasn't been bringing you a lot of peace. You say it's been driving you nuts. You don't have to just settle in that creation. You can create something different. You can create something different with this person or with a different person, or maybe you want to just be by yourself for a while. That's perfectly cool. But ultimately, you have the choice. You have the ability to create a new result and to have a new experience. So, Kim, I appreciate you. Thank you again for reaching out. Thank you for listening to the show. I mean, the fact that you listened to just a couple of episodes and then felt compelled to reach out is super cool. I really think there's a lot of people today who this message and this topic, relationships and alignment in relationships and staying true to yourself and all of that really spoke to a number of folks. I know that it hit me in a few places that were very, very relevant to things I'm experiencing today. So, Kim, thank you for reaching out. Thank you for being bold. And I'm excited to see what you do next. I really am. And for everybody else listening, again, if you would like to share an email with me, if you want me to answer or address an email in an episode of the Having It All podcast, I would absolutely love to. Reach out to me at mattcbivens@gmail.com. And with that, my name is Matthew Bivens, and here is to you having it all. Quick note about the Having It All podcast. I am not a doctor nor a licensed therapist. I'm a guy with a story and a passion for conscious conversation. My thoughts, opinions, and beliefs are my own. So please consult with your doctor or healthcare provider regarding any questions or issues you have related to your personal physical or mental health.
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.